All right, aloha friends. Brian Gossett here with GM Sports Media. Another episode of Game Time with the Goss, powered by Grey Wolf Promotions. And my guest today is my very good friend, Mike Alexander. He's going on 35 plus years covering sports, you name it. High school sports, any high school sports you can think of, college, pros, cowboys, etc. ESPN 60 Minutes, NBC. He's kind of the unicorn of sports, of the sports world. But you can catch Mike and the Frisco Lone Star Rangers, the Lone Star Way on Victory Plus every Tuesday. And we'll talk about that coming up. But Mike, thanks for being on the show. Finally.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Awesome. Always enjoyed your work. You're one of the best out there. But, let's talk about this new documentary series as you guys are following along with the Lone Star football team. Again, the Lone Star Way. We're 2 weeks into the 2025 football season, but can you talk about how this idea came about with Lone Star and Victory Plus?
Yes, back in May, I put out some feelers and put it on Facebook and my LinkedIn saying that Valley sports had gone away from me and I wouldn't be doing high school football this next year. But I wanted to do a documentary and it didn't matter what it was about. It could be basically anything, but it needed to be in Frisco, Texas. Because we do documentaries, it's a lot of work. You got to be close by. I didn't want to be traveling 5 days a week to real far away. So I got a lot of hits, boxers, different things like that, which is pretty typical. I got some other ones, but they were far away, out of state. But this one I got was from Coach Rayburn over at Lone Star. And so I called him up and we talked and went over to his office and he had a really great program for this year coming up with a lot of great players. He had four national recruits with some younger guys who are going to be national recruits. So I thought there's a great synergy there for us to do that. And Chris Rayburn's always been a good friend of mine. I've always enjoyed covering him and his team. He's always been easy to access, easy to get along with. And that's how it's turned out. So it's been great. He's been super. He's given me total access to everything. So we've had a great few weeks. Got busy in June, July with a lot of prepping, a lot of stories, going to kids' homes and doing stories on them. So yeah, the show's been super. I mean, this team is really, really good. They have a chance to go all the way.
Yeah, let's talk about this season because this is my 11th year, and Lone Star has always been a very good football program. And it seems like the last couple of years they've taken that next step, but still trying to get to Jerry's world. But it seems like a lot of people are kind of high on Lone Star this year, as you mentioned, a lot of great players and recruits. Just kind of talk about what you've seen being around them, and then these first two games that kind of makes you believe that this could be their year.
The biggest thing I've seen is Coach Rayburn had told me before the season began he had a sophomore quarterback named Trey Wright, and I was like, okay, sophomore, you know. And then I looked him up and saw some video clips of him playing basketball, and he could jump through the arena. I mean, he was lights out. I was like, oh, he's kick and play. And then I saw his football highlights. You know, and there wasn't too many because he had just played freshman football. But so far, he's been the key element to driving this offense. I mean, his first game against Argyle was a huge game. They're ranked fifth, and Argyle's ranked fourth. And he came out and just lit it up. He was awesome. And they also have several other great players like Carice Hoyt, who had a huge game defensively and offensively. He had a pick on defense, and then he had four touchdowns. So he really came on strong that game to start off because Davian Gross is out right now with an injury. And so he stepped it up. He was the quarterback last year that had all state numbers, and he can play any position basically. He's probably going to play. He told me he's going to play probably linebacker in college. He's yeah, he's super fast. He plays safety and receiver right now. He was our Hutchins Player of the Week last week with at Argyle, and then Garland game. They only got to play a half of a game because of bad weather, as you probably saw, with lightning and everything. And they got up 29 to nothing on Garland. and it was counted as a win for them. And that was the halftime score. And again, the sophomore sensation quarterback came through, and he can run, he can pass, and he's got a good feel for the game. He's just a natural quarterback. In practice today, he was just doing it like easy peasy. Really, really nice to watch. And coach lets him do his thing. So it's been terrific to watch. And they got all these other national recruits like Ryder Mix. He's a tight end. He's going to Oklahoma. He's a big guy who can break tackles. He's really key to the team. We just did a fishing story with him yesterday. He loves to be outdoorsman. He hunts and fishes. So him and several other players, Jordan Deck, another national recruit, they were fishing yesterday. Jordan Deck's a safety, just a really strong player. He's going to Michigan after this year. So great leader of the team, very motivated. They got some young guys like Bryce Roberts. He's another safety, and he's a sophomore. He's got tons of attention from TCU and all these other schools. Really up and coming rising star for them. So there's a lot of good players. I hate to, I'm probably forget several of them, but yeah, it's going to be fun the rest of this year. The first game against Argyle, they had four starters who were out with injuries. So they got a lot of good backups to play, and it shows.
Yeah, because that final score wasn't too close, and to have four starters out and still be able to do that, a lot of depth for Coach Rayburn. Um, you mentioned Carice Hoyt, and I just want to dive in a little more on that young man. Before the Argyle game, I was on a show with Mike Leslie, WFAA, because they were calling that game, him and Heckma Harrison, and he praised Carice because he was that starting quarterback last year, and we all know that the spotlight's the biggest on the quarterback, and for this kid to kind of step back and say, "Hey, we got this other kid coming up who could you know, do good things, and I can help on defense and at the other skill positions." You've covered a lot of kids in your time, but what does it say about the character of Carice Hoyt to be able to get out of that quarterback spotlight and help his team any way he can?
Yeah, well, I think he's not a natural quarterback. He just went into that role last year because they needed him. And so he got to go back to where he really belongs. And luckily, and the reason why is because of Trey. It made Trey coming out easier for Carice to do that because Carice is more of a safety receiver anyway.
Okay.
So it wasn't that big of a deal. But it helps the whole team out because Carice adds so much. In that first game, you saw, he just dominated on defense and offense. And it helps Trey with Davian being out as a receiver. And they have a lot of great receivers. They're Division I receivers up and down there. So when Davian gets back, it's going to be lights out, I should say. But yeah, Carice is a great kid. We're going to do a story on him and his mom coming up down the road. So it should be very interesting. He's a really interesting kid.
Talking with Mike Alexander. Mike, again, you've been doing this a lot. You've seen a lot of games. Just in terms of the high school world, is there a specific sport that you like shooting more than others? Is football the answer?
Mhm. Well, my natural skills at shooting is probably football and basketball. I love those two sports. Basketball, you're really on top of it. They're coming at you. You're right underneath the goalpost, the basketball
Yeah.
net. And I'm thinking two sports at the same time here. But yeah, basketball is great because I've had Julius Randle come right at me. He's probably been the scariest guy for me when I was shooting because I was right underneath the basket and Julius Randle comes in and he's just thunder dunks on me. And I never backed up on any player like that in basketball, but he made me back up because he was yelling and stuff. That was a pretty interesting moment. And then football, yeah, I just love, I kind of try to keep up with the down and distance so I can figure out if there's going to be a running play or a pass. I'm real good at following football. So With Trey, it's been a lot of fun because he's running and passing all the time. And he just had an incredible touchdown run against Garland this past week. It was just phenomenal. He just zigged and zagged out of everybody. He's not super fast, but nobody can catch him. He's kind of like William Cole of Cedar Hill back in 2006 was probably the best running quarterback I had ever seen. That guy was phenomenal. He could run and he was super fast. I think he ran 4.40 for Cedar Hill. So yeah, that was he played in the state championship game. William Cole did in 2006, and they were playing at AT&T Stadium, and they had a scoreboard back then where when the kids ran, they could look up and see them running on the. And so he was running down the sidelines, and nobody could ever catch him. But he was looking up to see if anybody was coming from behind to catch him. And it was kind of funny because he kept looking up and finally just burst out. It was probably like a 70-yard touchdown run. But it was just funny. I've never seen a kid do that until he did that. And then everybody started doing that. But he was so fast, he didn't even need to look up because nobody was behind him.
I don't know if I gave you enough time for this one, but can you recall one, maybe two of the most exciting games, football games you covered?
Yeah, there's been some great ones. I know roughly one of my first years here in Dallas Fort Worth covering, Flowermouth Marcus had a tremendous offensive team. And they kind of came out of nowhere and they got to the state championship in San Antonio and they ran up against two defensive ends that were going major, probably in the NFL. And they came up short. We always called them the Marcus team, the team that hung 50. We call them hang 50 every week because they put 50 points on the scoreboard every week and they just lit it up. Back in the days where it was just starting to get big, the passing because of Todd Dodge over at South Lake. Um, so that kind of opened up things. That was probably back in 95, I think. And they were averaging 50, over 50 a game easy. So we just
Wow.
called them the Hang 50 Marcus team.
And then I was always curious, I've never asked you this, but having doing the camera work, do you ever find yourself in a good game, tight game, or maybe even watching a good player that you're kind of watching the game instead of working the camera, if that makes sense?
Yeah, actually, it helps me to shoot the games because I did that with my daughter in high school and kept me from yelling and getting into it. So it made me focus. And so I guess when I covered my daughter, I was like, yeah, this really helps me to just cover the game and not think about every little thing she's doing and
Yeah.
and refs and what the refs are doing wrong and all that type of stuff. So yeah, it's no, it doesn't really bother me that way. I'm just really focusing on my shooting and everything. So it works out really well for what I do.
You're a professional. You're a professional, and shooting film for your daughter. I always get one of those footage clips, and you can just hear the mom or dad be screaming at the play, and they're kind of all over the place. So good practice.
Yeah,
Is
I did
there?
some of that too, though. I did some of
Yeah,
that too. I know Rick had the state final games were always like that. But there was one game they were in the Spring Creek barbecue tournament,
yeah.
and her team won that whole thing. And but to get there to the finals, they were down by 2 points at the very end of the game with like 5, 10 seconds to go. And she got they passed it to her and she put it up from 3 point land and nailed it and got fouled on the play. And if you see my camera work on that, it's pretty bad because I'm jumping up and down, and that was a pretty big play. It was a 4 point play for them to beat South Grand Prairie.
Yeah, no, of course. You got to be excited for that.
Yeah.
I'll let you get on this, Mike, but just talk a little bit more about some upcoming projects. Also talk about, again, the series with the Lone Star Way and what can we expect the next episode or two, and also just where can we find, the episodes and where can we find you guys on social media?
Yeah, if you go to victoryplus.com, you can download the app. It'll automatically ask you, sign in. go ahead and sign in. You don't have to pay for anything. It's all free. And you can go down to the high school on the left side. You can go the options. It's got Rangers, Stars. They'll have high school in there. So hit the high school and then go down just a little bit. You'll see the Lone Star Way. Episode 1 and 2's coming down, hitting tomorrow, and 3 through, until the end of the year. And you can find it there and you can watch the whole show any time of the day and night. That's what's great. This is going across the country. So we're getting people from California to New York to watch this. And we're marketing it through NFL players that we have contacts with, through people like you who have a huge following, all kinds of different ways like that. And yeah, it's a fun show to do. It's a lot of work. I knew it's going to be work, but yeah, I get too caught up into it and start doing more than I probably should. But that's okay. I'm sure Coach Rayburn loves that. But yeah, the upcoming episodes we'll have, next week. We got Coach Rayburn, go over to his house and visit with them. I was over there for about 3 or 4 hours, and he's got a seventh grade quarterback that he coaches every week. He coaches the seventh grade team as offensive coordinator. He told me today. So he's bringing up his son to be a quarterback, just like Coach Todd Dodge did with Riley over at South Lake. Um, Two great coaches over there. And then let's see, we got Ryder mix coming up. We kind of, like I said, we'll fish with him. We'll visit with his mom and dad at their house. They're a fun bunch over there at that house. I told them we could do a reality show with just that family. And Ryder's really calm and quiet, and I get over there, his mom and dad, they're very excited, and they say a lot of cool stuff. They're very entertaining, I should put it that way. But yeah, so that'll be on that show, and of course, each game will be on the show. We've got three different angles of the games. Our crew, staff with Ashley Rose, who used to work for Valley Sports, and my son Blake Alexander helps. So we have great angles of the games and everything. Kind of show the sidelines, behind the scenes, in the locker room, all the different things like that. So you get to see a behind the scenes look at the highlights, not just here's 2-yard touchdown run or 1 yard. We were showing the emotions of the kids and coaches. We mic up the coaches during the games. We mic up players during practice. So you get to hear the kids talk during practice time, which is kind of fun. They love to talk when they know they have the wireless mic on. So yeah, it's been a fun, entertaining time, and yeah, it's been a wild ride already. We're probably going to go pretty far in the playoffs. Their battle, they lost in the fourth round to Highland Park last year. And so that's the game they're targeting, because they figure Highland Park will be there again. So that's where they want to get past that game for sure and get to state.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate it, Mike. Again, follow his work, Victory Plus. New episode coming out Tuesday, September 9th, with highlights from the Garland win. Again, you can always watch previous episodes, would always be up there. And then just to mention, Lone Star is playing week 3 here against McKinney North. So check all that stuff out, all the great work from Mike. And yeah, Mike, we really appreciate you having on.
Well, I appreciate all that you do for high school sports. You cover the boys and the girls really well. So you do a fantastic job.
Appreciate it, buddy. That's Mike Alexander. And that'll do for another episode of Game Time with the Goss, powered by Grey Roof Promotions. If you're looking for t-shirts or merchandise for your favorite high school team, make sure to check out greyroofpromotions.com. And until then, enjoy week 3 of the football season, and we'll see you on another episode of Game Time with the Goss.